Hello, racing fans, and welcome back to another edition of Handicappers Corner, brought to you by the Derby Bar and Grill. I'm Mike Heads, along with Drew Forster. We're going to go through the Sunday, April 24th races at Hastings, and we do have 10 races on the Sunday card. We unfortunately had to skip over the Saturday program. We couldn't quite get 14 or 15 races together. It was really close. The tough weather in February and March has really set maybe a few horses back of work, and they just... You know, these horses, you want them running all year. You want to run in 6 months, and so to maybe force the issue early,
you don't want to push them exactly.
You'd rather, most trainers, all trainers will err on the side of caution and just not run, and that's what's happened. It's just unfortunate. We had a tough February and March, and
we did end up, however, with a great card on Sunday.
It's a great card,
and a great opening day last weekend. Sunday was absolutely packed. Great to see a big turnout for our opening day, and as I mentioned, and a great card that day. Congratulations, obviously, to the Swift Thoroughbreds with Modern.
That was cool. Modern ran a huge race, and Hollywood Angel, Peter Reddekopp's, and Anita Bolton's Hollywood Angel were great. Great job, Dino Condolinas. Modern isn't the greatest or easiest horse to train, and
just keeps getting better with age,
did a great job getting a horse there.
And of course, Avadiva, the fit horse, comes in from Phoenix.
Not a shock.
Non-3. Now, I didn't think so, because it's funny, in the boys' race, there was quite a few horses that had been running, and the girls' race, she was the only one.
Yeah,
and
she
it
had the
seemed
big
to
edge.
make a difference.
And when you're going, six furlongs, and she left the gate running, there was no one really chasing her, and she took full advantage. And
big run by Foster Cat, but yeah.
To the Comasolis and Robbie Anderson and Skylar
Whiteshield.
That was cool. Get him a nice win right off the hop in a stakes race. Very polished rider. Looked great on him.
Happy here in Vancouver.
Yes, I know.
Start off the season.
I've been beaming for the last few days watching him in training. He comes out every morning, obviously, but yeah, watching him, he's really happy and excited to be here. Good news to Scotty Williams. I saw him this morning. He got hurt in the gate.
Haidegwai kind of went sideways with him in the gate.
He'll be. Hopefully, he's not here. He's not racing. Obviously riding
this weekend.
This weekend, but he's trying for next weekend. But it might be the weekend after. But he did get hit on the foot. His foot blew up. The horse kind of hit him when it was obviously having some issues in the gate. But he had pretty swollen foot. But it's no broken bones. No ligament damage. He just needs some time to get the swelling down. But, great. It'll be great to have Scotty back as well. All right, let's get into the Sunday opener. First of 10. Got some fillies and mares, or colts and geldings, pardon me, here. Non-2, non-3, 16. Going 6 furlongs. I didn't see a lot of speed in here. I'm not sure if he's the best horse in the race, but I'm going to try the 4 horse. It's in command.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get the lead in here. I think he's going to dictate the tempo. It looks he's been working well for Hall of Famer Harold Barabee and Pedro aboard. Catch me if you can. I like him to maybe win it. Perfectly Reckless might be the best horse in the race, but at 6 furlongs, it might not be his best trip, and it might be vulnerable. But we're pulling for our buddy George Morgan, who, of course,
just saw him here every day ago.
Yes, come and watch the show. And I put the 5 horse Wonder World for the Lytles and Carl Austin in for 3rd. Another one that might appreciate more distance, but fits nicely at this condition. But they're all running protected, other than Peace Arch, who comes up from California, racing fit for the Gilkers, and they wouldn't be surprised to see that horse do well. But still, 6 furlongs once again might not be his. He's not speed.
Best thing. Yeah.
I think he's just going to fall into a bad spot positionally, and that's nothing against Peace Arch, but I just think It's in Command gets the lead. Perfectly Reckless probably lays 2nd. I went 4-1-5.
I did go with the 1. I went with Perfectly Reckless, as you mentioned.
Best horse.
He is the best horse in here, I think, and he's a horse that is very lightly raced. He's only had 5 starts. Everybody else had 9, 10, 17. But you throw those first 2 races of his career, which is easy to do with a young horse. Ever since then, he's got a nice 3rd, a 2nd. He wins by a head. He just seems to have a lot of talent. Granted, most of those races were going longer, but he's been training forwardly for this. Nice minute flat work. And Skylar Whiteshield, as we mentioned, off to a good start here at Hastings. I put him in the top spot. I put Peach Arch in the 2nd spot, just because we did see horses like Princess Katie last week, like Avadiva. These horses that are running.
It's a big edge. It's an edge.
They come up. They have the edge. And I put your top horse, It's in Command, in the 3rd spot. I went 1, 2, and 4 in the 1st. On to the 2nd, a maiden 16 for what turns into 3-year-old fillies. There is no older mares in here. Field of 6 signed on, going 6 furlongs. I went to the 2 mini fridge out of the Mike Anderson barn. I'm picking Mike to win the early double here. I like Richard Hamill. Rode this filly last year. He sticks with her. That race 2 back where just got beat a neck by We're As Good As Gold. I think that's good enough to win this race. It's kind of a mixed bag here, but I did go with a Mini Fridge on top. Great connections, Mike Anderson and Richard Hamill. I went with Lady Cash out of the Nancy Best run in the second spot. Just missed breaking her maiden for 25. 2 starts back by a neck by Chestnut's Gold. Then tackled stakes coming to the fantasy. That was a little tough. Good to see her show up for a price. First asking this year. And a nice minute 4 work leading into this. And I went with Valid Val out of the Mark Cluche barn. This is one that makes a lot of sense too, except maybe not necessarily big-time sprinter, but does have speed and was running 4 Canmore Farms last year for maiden special weights, drops in here for a price. That's another one I could see that would make sense in here. I can't really decide between the 3 of those. I would take all 3 in my early double. I went with 2, 6, and 3.
Yeah, I went with a 3, Valid Val. I just think this horse is going to get the lead. Speed always does well going 6 furlongs.
It sure did last weekend too. Yeah.
Mark Cluche does a great job getting horses ready. It looks like this horse is ready to roll. Aggressively spotted for 16, down from the maiden allowance the horse was running for last year. I didn't fall in love with anyone else after that. Is Valid Val trustworthy? I don't.
Yeah,
shaky.
tough.
I mean, this horse still has yet to prove it can go around 2 turns. It has speed, but it still hasn't really finished a race all that well. So it's still risky, even on the class drop.
Interesting to note too, that last race, she got beat by 12 3/4. That was against the boys. Rock Concert won by almost 10.
Yeah.
So, she got beat 2 lengths for second. So
all those races were against the boys.
Yeah.
That's her first race against the fillies. But I think she's got a tactical edge, class edge, and she's been working well. So I'll try her to win it. Put the 1 horse Sweet Home in for second for Mel Snow. This horse just got beat in her debut last year. I know it wasn't the fastest of times, but I thought it was still a pretty good effort for a horse making its career debut. Work tab, just okay. But Mel can have his horses ready. He's got a training farm. They come in ready to go.
They'd have been training for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
You saw his son John Snow have a great weekend.
Yeah.
They train on the same track at home at their farm, near 248th and Fraser Highway. They live in the Aldergrove area, and they have a nice farm there that you can get horses legged up before they come into age.
They're tight and ready to roll. Yeah.
And this horse, could be live. And I put the 6 horse. I agree with Lady Cash. Don't need to really expound on anything more on this one. Drops out of the fantasy, but nicely spotted for 16. Good connections. 3-1-6 for me. In the second, on to the third race. $8,000 fillies and mares going 6 panels. I ended up on the 3 Xenia. Still has yet to cross the finish line first, but just think she's going to get a favorable pace scenario in this field of 6. Looks like the 1 Blended, 2 Jazz, the 5 Stormstalker, and the 6 I Believe in Angel all have similar running styles. Xenia will definitely be last early. I think she can come, make a big run to win it. She's been working quite favorably in the mornings. Amadeo's actually been on her in her last 2 workouts. The 1 horse Blended, probably the best horse in the race, but she does drop from 16 down to 8 and training well. She'll be probably the favorite, but she's the one to beat. I put the 2 horse Jazz coming in from California for Roddy Thares. Had a nice win last week with I Can Dig That. Did Roddy?
With Richard Hamill, yeah.
Yep, and get Hamill aboard, so that's cool. 3-1-2. I just call for a speed duel, a bit of a speed duel, and I'm going to try the 3 to win it. Went 3-1-2.
I did go with Blended, as you mentioned. She's probably the best
horse.
Best horse in the race.
Bar none, best horse. Best resume.
Does have 1 start going 6 furlongs. Most of her starts, she always sprints. Does have 1 start going 6 furlongs. She did run 3rd that day. That was for quite a bit higher. She drops in for the cheapest price of her career. Top connections, Antonio Reyes, Mark Cluche, Canmore Farms. I got her on top. I put I Believe in Angel, the Anita Bolton trained runner in here, the Felicellas. The best of the speed horses in here. She's got the truest speed. Was getting beat for 8,000 last year, but Pedro's on her. She's been training forwardly. Anita's horse is usually ready to roll early. She's going to be on the engine and catch her to win it. And I put Xenia, your top pick, in 3rd. Definitely one that wouldn't surprise me to see her win it. She closed out the year for the $8,000 price and only got beat a length by Today Is the Day, a horse that was on a roll then, and she starts out at that price this year. Another one that wouldn't surprise me. I would take all 3. I don't see any like Princess Katie's to kick off the card this week where it's like, no, this horse is going to win.
Right.
I see a little bit muddled the first 2 races.
Well, they're all horses that have a lot of.
3.
They're all numbers of 2, or pretty much, and they have like 3 inches of form.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
nobody that's extremely reliable in here.
Right, correct. So it's always tough when you have that.
On to the fourth, a maiden 25,000 for 3-year-olds and up. Again, 6 furlongs, as all the races are. I went to the one here, mark it up. I got Anita Bolton to win another one right off the hopper. Only the one start last year for this guy. That was going 3.5. Only got beat 3 lengths. He's been training forwardly for this. Nice work. Nice final prep for this in 1 minute and 3/5. I've noticed, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong here, the works have been a little bit slower this spring. You don't see a lot of 59s. Basically, if you're working in 1 minute and change, that's
huge.
That's really good work. I like that work leading up to this for this guy's second start of his career. I put the 2 Urban Achiever, the People's Horse, the Hastings Racing Club horse. I threw him in for second. Just the one start at 3.5 last year. I don't know how ready he was for that. Steve Henson does a good job. Another one that has a lot of miles under him this spring, so he could improve off of that. And I put the 5 Oski in the third spot for Swift Thoroughbreds and Dino Condolinos. Out of that great mare, Excited Angel, he's a finality, which will make him a full brother to...
Well, Excited Angel's the dam of Excited Miss, but she's not a finality. She's a mass market, but there's
another one that's a
Miss,
finality, yeah.
Remarkable Miss, and
But yeah, this mare has been a great mare, and top connections.
Right.
I put him in for the third spot, 145 for me.
Yeah, I agree with the one. Mark it up, Mark. I think this is the speed of the race. Good works. Nicely spotted at the 25,000 level. This race can come up super tough.
Yeah.
If you look at the maiden allowance for 3-year-olds, it's 3 and up. That's a salty little race. Then you take the one little dip down to the 25. This race come up
you get really breather,
soft.
Yeah.
This race come up soft. And mark it up, Mark. I think this horse is pretty live in here. Put the 2-horse Milshon in for second. I like taking 4-year-olds in these races, and I'll expound on that later on. But I mean, I like some 4-year-olds later in the card in the maiden allowance races. But Milshon, nice works for Sylvia Gregory. Her horses are running well and fit and ready to go as usual in the spring. David Lopez rides. I put the 6-horse Tohachi in for third.
Another 4-year-old,
Tucumcari, and another 4-year-old as you mentioned, and just maybe not at the best distance of 6 furlongs, but still I think the horse is reasonably live in here. I went 1, 2, and 6. I think Mark It Up Mark's going to get the lead and be awfully tough to beat. I know it didn't show, broke a little tardy in his debut, but I think he's going to be speed. 1, 2, 6 for me in the fourth. On to the fifth race. That's a maiden $4,000 fillies and mares going 6 furlongs, and I ended up on the 4-horse Devaney. I'm going to take a shot on Sandra Losas runner with last year's leading rider Richard Hamill in the irons. You don't have a lot of form to go on here. It's a guessing game.
Yeah.
But I just think this horse has probably got a little bit of run to it. And another older horse, it's 5-year-old, and
another one too that they have their own farm. So he's what you see on here isn't necessarily
horses.
All he's done. He would have been training for quite some time.
So I just a Fleet Alice. Do I want to stand alone with that one? Probably not.
She's going to be a short price.
3.5 furlongs, maiden. In for 4. Just a little. There's a lot of
question marks
red lights going off on a Fleet Alice. The 7-horse Smoke and Sizzle. I put in for third. Sylvia Gregory, another older horse that's been working well in the mornings, and I just want to give this horse a chance. I just didn't know where to go. Knock Knock. No works for the last quite a while. It was in the Hastings paddock sale. Baja Storm. There was a lot of horses in here that I just didn't know what to do with. It's a real race where you want to look at them in the paddock and
might
really
want to go deep,
assess how they look in the paddock. This is one of those races where I think the body language and everything is looking at them will, maybe tip you off as to who's live. I'm going to try the 4. I went 4, 2, and 7.
I went with the 5 Knock Knock, as you mentioned, for owner, trainer, Hall of Famer Alan May, good friend here. He's a full brother. She's a full sister, I should say, to Fort Vancouver, who was very live at his first out. Alan, as I mentioned, is a Hall of Fame trainer. Yeah, Big Bertha was a really good mare that Alan trained as well.
Did a really good job.
Who won up and down the West Coast and into Alberta. So I went with Knock Knock on top. I put a Fleet Alice in the second spot, as you mentioned. Looks like the logical choice in here, but there are some flags going up as what's she doing in for 4,000.
Yeah, they're only 3.5 furlong races last year. She still yet to prove that she can even run 6 furlongs. So do you want to, at 2 to 1 or whatever,
be all in on her? Yeah, I know.
I can see her winning easy.
Yeah, I didn't want to pick her, but I didn't want to leave her out. I put her in the second spot, and your third pick, Devaney, very well bred daughter of Grindstone out of a Meadow Lake mare. Might be a little short for her. Grindstone is sired to, it was a Kentucky Derby winner, but does attract the leading rider. So another one
kind of caught me. I know Richard has ridden
yeah.
horses for Jim and Sandra before, but he will jump on them. But this is a good opportunity for a horse that might be 8-9 to 1.
Exactly, you're going to get a price. So I went 5, 2, and 3 in the 5th. On to the 6th. Fillies and Mares, 4,000, non-2, and I did go to the 2. Holly's Last Call. Throw that first start. She started in September last year. It was for 12.5. She gets beat 16 lengths. Comes back for maiden 4,000. That was against the boys, too. Comes back for maiden 4 against the girls and wins off by 2 lengths. And look at that last work on April 16th, 58 flat.
Yeah, that's smoking.
That's smoking. That looks good. That's good enough to win this race. I mean,
the kid was on her, too. This
yeah.
Asensio.
The bug boy did work her that day.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit quicker than trainer Jon Snow would have preferred, considering he is running her for 4,000. But, I mean, off that, if she can do that, she's going to win this race. I went to Rio Hana out of the Barb Heads Barn for 2nd. Might be a little short for her, but she was a mare, she ran the fantasy. Barb thought a lot of her throughout her career. Took her down to the 4,000 level to break her maiden. Come right back with a good effort behind Cute Little Vixen to run 2nd. In her next start off of that, and then I just threw her the last one. It was the last day. Barb, probably just try to get another race into her.
Yeah, there's 3 races in October.
Yeah, I just tossed that one. I have her in the 2nd spot in Bay's Gal, another one that was finishing out the meet decent in those 4-on-2s with 2 straight 3rds. Charlene Miller does have 2 in here. Richard Hamill elects to get aboard that one, so I put her in the 3rd spot. I got 2, 8, 9.
Yeah, I see a lot of speed in this race, Drew. I see the 1 Easter Sunday going. I see the 2 Holly's Last Call definitely going.
Yeah.
Biscuit, Bay's Gal,
Angels Victory.
I just see a cluttered front end, and I was really impressed with the 3-horse Authority Taken with Antonio Reyes last year. When he was aboard, those are the 3 of her best races last year. And the last start, I can forgive her. There wasn't a lot of pace going on, 23:47, so it's hard to come from last and make any impression. And the race before that was a mile and the 16th, just not her distance. And she's a late closing sprinter. I just like the races with Antonio Reyes on her. I think she's going to get a good pace. Brian O'Connell does a great job with Joanne, his wife Joanne, and the horse has been working well. There might be some value here with Authority Taken. The last few races have been kind of giving her some poor form, so people may overlook her, and I think there's more there with the 3-horse Authority Taken. I agree with the 2-horse Holly's Last Call. She's live in here. I mean, any horse at this level that can work that fast is going to be awfully tough. And I agree with the 8-horse Rio Hana. 6 furlongs, likely too short, but she's got a good run to her. She's been working well this spring. She's better than a lot of these, and I put her in for 3rd. I went 3, 2, and 8. On to the 7th race. So one of our co-features is a maiden allowance for fillies and mares.
Tough one.
6 furlongs, a big gate of 10 of them. I went with a 6 Awesome Love, a 4-year-old running against the 3-year-olds, and it's a big opportunity for her. Been working well for Top Outfit, and just a 1 run last year. And tough to judge her off of that race, but I've seen her this spring. She's a big, good-looking chestnut filly that has a lot of scope to her. She's really a smart-looking girl, and looks like a horse that you would, looks like a stake filly if you looked at her. So it wouldn't be surprising to see her win very easily here. Put the 8-horse Estelato in for 2nd. Like this filly out of the stakes-winning dam, Rosada, who Mario Gutierrez won on Rosada, the dam. This horse has worked well, a minute and change in 101. Getting back to when you were talking about the works haven't been super fast this spring, and she was in a couple of the tracks where they were a little glib, and they, like 101 was a really good. That was like a 59 and 101.
Yeah, it was 2nd at 24 that day.
Yeah,
so
that track was, certain tracks were a little slower. She looks like she has a lot of potential. And up at the 4-horse Omi for Dino Condolinos, this horse is ready to roll. This horse has been training well, good 6.5 furlong work in 120 and change, followed up by a minute. She's fast. She looks like she's going to be dangerous, leading rider aboard too. But I went 6, 8, and 4 in the 7th.
I went to the outside. I went to the 2 outside horses, actually. I went to 10, Color Me Gold. Comes in here for owner Peter Reddecup from Golden Gate.
Was bought in the sale.
That was one of the ones that came. That's right.
Sale. Peter paid $30,000.
That's right. You're correct. Thank you. But had been training down in California with Jerry Hollendorfer. good, for maiden 25 down there, those races are not easy at Golden Gate, those maiden 25s, and only got beat a couple lengths, got a 56 buyer for that, has the fitness edge, and that's what I like. We saw it definitely paid dividends last weekend. Is a 10-hole going to help her? Probably not going 6 furlongs, but I do like the fact that she's ready to go. I put the 9 Indy Black in for second in the Jim Brown barn. Jim got off to a good start last week with last year's Ascot graduation winner, Crazy Prophet. The last time this filly ran last year was against the boys, got beat by Sunscape, finished ahead of good as they get. Only got beat 3 lengths. I thought that was a good race. She's been training very well this spring. Nice minute and 4 work for her last work. Pedro Alvarado gets aboard. He's going to have her forwardly placed, which I think he'll get a good spot for her, even though she's breaking out of the 9. I have her in the second spot, and I put Don't Tell My Husband for trainer Jim Smith, 3-year-old daughter of Rosberg, who was running very well here last year, unlucky to still be a maiden, and only got beat a length and a half by Cioto Claire and Snuggles in the Futurity. So one that's definitely got some talent. We'll see how that translates into a 3-year-old year for her, and she does get Skylar Whiteshield. I went 10, 9, and 3 in the 7th. Pretty wide open affair. As you can see, me and Mike have all different horses. On to the 8th, 62.5 for older horses. Field of 10 here. I had a lot of trouble with this race. Another race, I went a few different ways. I ended up on Teddy the Bear. I like the way he closed out the season last year. Nice win. A second behind Proxy Man, who absolutely ran off and hid that day and came back with a win over Fleming's Beach, who was heavily favored that day. Teddy the Bear really seemed to be putting it together. I like to see David Lopez on him. There seems to be quite a bit of speed in here, and I like the fact that he looks like a horse that can sit just off the speed.
He's versatile.
You have Similkameen Luke, Abil, Spirit River, Wise Boss. There's quite a bit of gas in here. So I put Teddy the Bear on top of Abil. Another horse I like in here, wouldn't be surprised to see him win, been working very well, 59-3 coming into this. And, you look last year, 2 races back, he ran for 12.5, got beat by Go for Guinness and Bear Rock and Roll and Tracker. Considerably tougher. Took the drop down, only got beat 3 lengths by Casino Boss, who was at the top of his form right then. So I put Abil in the second spot, and who did I put in the third spot? Peyton's Best. Harold's got 2 in here. I think Peyton's Best Life just got beat ahead by Teddy the Bear last year. And a cool old horse who always seems to put an honest try. Another one that kind of has learned to come from off the pace too. I think that would be more to his advantage in here to try and come from off the pace. He doesn't want to hook into the rest of these. I put him in the third spot. 3, 5, and 2 for me.
Yeah, I went to the 5 of Veal. I think this horse is really alive in here. Nice work tab, as you mentioned. This horse ran against Casino Boss, who's a horse that has won for 20,000 in the past, and it's unfortunate to hook into a horse like him for 62.50. He's had some tough running lines. It is dirty tough in some of those high-end claiming races, even the mid-level claiming races.
Like I said, with Go for Guinness and Bear Rock and Roll and Tracker.
That's unfortunate.
Any one of those 3 would be favorite in here.
Well, they'd be 2 to 5.
Yeah.
But Abil has worked well, as you mentioned. Pedro's been on him for the. I know Pedro was on the 59, and Pedro doesn't work horses particularly fast usually.
Yeah.
And he was aboard for that 59. So,
and you can see he's had some options in here, and he did stick with Abil.
And the horse is protected for 62.50. We should note to everyone that horses that have been off for 6 months that ran for a certain price.
Basically, they didn't run throughout the winter.
Right.
You can run back for what you ran for last year.
Correct, or higher and protected. You can't run lower.
Yeah.
You can't, Abil couldn't run for 5,000 protected. You have to be in for 5,000. Anyway, but Abil looks great in this spot. I put the 4 horse Similkameen Luke. Going to give him he ran,
like this guy.
I know, he won for me at 20 to 1 last year.
Yeah.
I caught him at, we caught him at 20 to 1 last year, first time out of the box.
By 5 almost.
For Billy Connick, who, great news, Billy just had a kidney transplant, and he's doing great. Bill Connick Jr.
Very good news.
He's back. He hardly missed a day. I see him, the poor guy, he's doubled over watching his horses train, and it's he's going in tomorrow for my kidney transplant, and it's and his wife Nico was in there watching while he was away. I don't think he was gone 3 days. He was back there. He's
that's a good racetrack guy there.
Great racetrack story, great racetrack guy, and a really good horseman, Billy.
Yeah.
And
underrated horseman for sure.
Really good. He does a great job. Similkameen Luke's live in here, and I put the 6 horse Spirit River in for third. He's live in this spot as well. He was running. He's got some back class that makes him awfully tough.
Yeah, especially you look at where he started out last year.
Yeah.
He was a lot.
I went 5, 4, and 6, but I do like him to be able to win it. On to the 9th race, main allowance for Colson Geldings, going 6 furlongs. Got the full gate of 10 of them again. Nice to see the maiden races get all filled up. I end up in the 9 horse Toreador, horse, and a 4-year-old, older horse. That's big. Running against some, inexperienced freshly turned 3-year-olds. That he's got a lot of experience. He runs second in the Nine Mighty Fraser in the Sale Stake. Now he's running against a lot young. It's easy. I think it's easier company.
Yeah.
His work tab's been great for Milton Palma, and I got to go to him to win it with the apprentice Jose Asensio aboard. To put the 3-horse Good As They Get in for second. He's got great speed, nicely drawn in gate 3. Another one working beautifully. 112 and 2. That's a huge move. This horse looked good doing it with Silvano Morales. And I put the 1-horse Dynamite Kid for Craig McPherson, racing at Gulfstream Park, claimed by Chad Joe's Copperwater Thoroughbred Company. Ran him back for 75 for Pat Parente, who's from Woodbine. And ran a good even fourth against a pretty good full field there going on the turf. Has arrived here at Hastings under the care of Craig McPherson, and I can see him winning too. I had a lot of trouble. There's some nice colts in here.
This is a tough one. I know one that I left out too. I'm just looking like Groot. This is a well thought of guy. I went to the 5 Timber King. We saw Rob Gilker bring a horse in here last week, as we mentioned, race fit, and she did win first out. You look twice. He was second for maiden 40. Those maiden 40s are not the bottoms of Santa Anita, and they can be pretty salty.
Yeah, they can come up.
His last one was a maiden 50. He got pinched out at the start. Just throw that out. He's a half brother to Herbie D. Rob thought enough. A good third, his first out last year in the Sale Stake, and I just like the fact that he's been running, and that's why I went with Timber King. I put Dynamite Kid, the other horse that's been running, for Craig McPherson in the second spot. But there is some question marks for me. He only got beat 4 lengths in a maiden special weight at Woodbine. And then his next start, they run him for a price for $35,000 at Gulfstream. He gets claimed, but then he runs back for a maiden 75 and runs a big race there. Only gets beat 3 lengths. So
Mark Cassidy, he's got a bit like a million horses.
Yeah, exactly.
And this horse, Dynamite Kid, would be like 28.
Just another one.
Chart, for 3-year-olds.
That's the only thing that kind of worries me about him. So I put him in the second spot in Toreador, your top pick. An honest guy. Look at his record. 8 starts.
Broke his maiden by now.
Totally 8 starts, 5 seconds, 2/3, 7 of 8
horses,
money.
It's a big thing.
And he's a 4-year-old.
It's huge. It's huge against these younger horses that are not as experienced.
But I did go with the horses that are running. I went 5, 1, and 9 in the 9th.
We got experience here.
On to the 10th. Speaking of experience, we got some
tons of it.
Cool old guys here.
Made a lot of money. Look at the earnings on some of these guys.
Yeah, I know. There's some big ones. Senior Rojo at 475. Wilo Cat at 2 and a quarter. El Capone. I went to a relatively youthful guy in here. Number 5-year-old. Sorry, number 6. Richter Red. Best sprinter in the race.
Yeah, he's the 6 furlong. He's the 6 furlong.
He's your 6 furlong horse.
Is he the best horse in the race? No. Wilo Cat, Senior Rojo, others have better resumes.
But he's your sprinter. When they go long, I will have those two ahead of him.
Yeah.
But I did put him on top because catch me if you can. He's going to be tough. I mean, you can see his works. He's ready for this. He gets Pedro, who's a great speed rider. Anita Bolton Barn, top connections. Richter Red, going to be a handful in here. I put Senior Rojo in the second spot. As I mentioned, he's one that does want to go longer, but it's what shocked me when I looked at his form, 5 starts, going 6 furlongs, 2 wins, and 2/3. Only 1 time out of the money. So if the pace starts to fall apart a little bit, he's reunited with his good friend, Richard Hamill. I put him in the second spot in Wilo Cat, another cool old horse. Another guy, though, that is going to want more distance. I have him in the third spot. I went 6, 2, and 1.
Yeah. It's funny. I didn't have Senior Rojo in the top 3, but if you look at his first race last year, about the same time, it's against a lot tougher. He hooked into Brass and Gold, Taylor's Deal, and Go for Guinness. I mean, those 3 horses.
He gets beat 2 lengths,
and like that's a big effort actually. Yeah. And I know it was 6.5, but still, that's a pretty big effort off the bat. He's a cool horse, Senior Rojo. He's 10 years old, but he still looks great. Watch him train. Watch with your dad. He's like a cool horse. He's still got game.
Sticking to the rail.
Wouldn't surprise. Oh no, he's on that thing all the time. He's stuck right to it. But wouldn't be surprised to see him win. But Richter Red's the horse to beat.
Absolutely.
He's the 6 furlong horse. He's got speed. There's no speed in the race. Richter Red must get the lead. Gets over to the rail. He's going to dictate the tempo. It's going to be slow. I think he must win the race. I put Mighty Fraser in for second.
I can see that.
Nice season last year. And I put the 4 El Capone. Always respect El Capone. He's a cool horse. Jon Snow off to a great start, winning 3 races on opening day. congratulations to John and Tammy Snow. That was a great opening weekend.
I said a few times, John had a kind of a brutal year last year. I can't imagine that happening to him 2 years in a row.
It goes in cycles. Right?
Exactly.
Your horses
exactly.
dictate. You're the same trainer you were when you had 25 wins as you were when you had 7 wins.
It's not like you forgot how to do it.
You
just had a rough year last year.
Styles. It's just
it just seems that doesn't seem to happen to a guy like him 2 years in a row. And I expect him to have a good year this year. And
he's already rolling.
There you go. He's got 3 wins.
But I went 6, 5, and 4 to close out the Sunday afternoon 10 race program in Hastings. It does get underway at 1:50. Up next on screen will be our quick recap of our selections. Back in race number 1, I went to the 4. It's in Command 415 for me. In race number 2, I went to the 3. Valid Val 3, 1, and 6. Race number 3, I went to the 3. Xenia 3, 1, 2. Race number 4, the 1. Make it up, Mark. Over the 2, Milshon 1, 2, and 6. Should note to Milshon, who does put the chocolates in our baskets. They get the Halls, the Milshon on 272nd there in Fraser Highway. A little plug for them. Race number 5, I went to the 4, Devaney. Over the 2 and 7. Race number 6, the 3, Authority Taken. Hopefully off the pace win there, 3, 2, and 8. Race number 7, I went to the 6, Awesome Love. Over the 8, Estalado. The 4, Omi. Race number 8, number 5, Abil. 5, 4, and 6 for me in the 8th. Race number 9, the 9, Toreador. Over the 3 and 1. And race number 10, the Sunday finale, Rector Ed for me. I'm going to go 6, 5, and 4.
On to my picks. There we go in the first. I went to the 1, Perfectly Reckless, with the 2 and the 4. In the second, I went to the 2, Mini Fridge, over the 6 and the 3, picking Mike Anderson for the early daily double.
Got a big chance.
Third race, I went to number 1, Blended, over the 6 and the 3. In the fourth, I agree with Mike on number 1, Mark It Up Mark, over the 4 and the 5. In the fifth, I went to Alan May's runner, Knock Knock, number 5. In the fifth, over the 2 and the 4. In the sixth, I went to the Quick, number 2, Holly's Last Call, over the 8 and the 9. In the seventh, I went to the 10, Color Me Gold, over the 9 and the 3. In the 8th, I went to the 3, Teddy the Bear, over 5 and 2. In the 9th, number 5, Timber King, over the 1 and the 9. And in the nightcap, I agree with Mike on number 6, Richter Red. He is dangerous at this distance, over the 2 and the 1.
All right, thank you everyone for tuning in to the September 24th, or April,
24th,
we're
wow.
already at September. April
Happens
24th
in a hurry,
edition
doesn't it?
Of Handicappers Corner. Reminder, our next live card is scheduled for next Saturday and
Yes.
Sunday, April 30th and May the 1st. It should be a lot of fun.
As we are getting close, you say May the 1st.
May, aha.
We're getting very close to the Kentucky Derby. As we wind down, we're 2 weeks this Saturday from the Kentucky Derby. Obviously, Mario Gutierrez
Nyquist. It's going to be a lot of fun.
has the favorite. Yeah.
He's going to be tough to beat. But yeah, that's Saturday, May the 7th. Don't forget to get down here to the Derby Barn Grill if you can, and get your reservations in. There's a lot going on here on Derby Day. If you can't make it out to Hastings, once again, come on out here. Andy and his staff have great food out here and drink specials, so come on out to the Derby Barn Grill.
Just get in front of a TV. If you can make it here, make it here. If you can make it to the track, make it to the track, but make sure you're in front of a TV as Mario goes for his second Kentucky Derby in 4 years.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much for tuning in. On behalf of Drew, it's been our pleasure bringing you Handicappers Corner. We'll see you next time here at the Derby Barn Grill.